My name is Jasmine Sutters. I'm in English 272. I chose to write an essay on Emily Dickinson to prove that she found beauty in death and that she had depression. So, the story that I could not stop for death, the imagery in this story, it shows that she and death are in a carriage riding off into the sunset. She portrays death that it is pleasant and not scary. And when you see somebody like this, how we pictured death, if he were a person, it would still be intimidating, but yet she still found it beautiful and had a way with words to make it seem not terrible. A lot of people ask, how do you know she was talking about herself? Was she talking about herself? Many of her poems are not in her perspective. She's not the character in the poem, but she could be portraying herself as someone else to make it not seem that she is suffering with depression, and she was just using this as a coping mechanism. She carries out the theme of depression and nature loving with the way that she paints the scenery with her words and make it seem like it's such a beautiful place to be, but there's always the grim background of her stories where if you read deeper into it and you pay more attention to the way she words things, you can see that there's a darker story behind the beautiful way she writes. My life had stood a loaded gun. This poem, she uses words as corners and carries me away. Well, it seems that, she describes it as if there's a dead body being moved someplace else. Well, with her being able to portray herself as someone else, it could be the fact that it's her body being moved to somewhere else, the afterlife or things of that nature. Both of these stories share the same theme, which shows that this could be Emily Dickinson's cry for help, but yet she did not want help because she never published her own work. Her family published her work after her death. The beauty of death. In both poems, she opens with a dark side and then follows with a nice description of nature. Dickinson is, these poems quickly became a coping mechanism for her. She suffered from a mental illness in a time where it was not understood by many people, and she began writing poems about winter and death. She paints death to be beautiful and not scary in her work, and credit to all the people that know where this picture came from. But I feel like this is how she would view the afterlife for the way she paints that death and how she personifies him. And it just seems like it's very peaceful and beautiful and nothing to worry about. You will see your loved ones again. I feel like that's how she copes with it and probably talks herself out of something even darker, such as suicide or, just to get through the day and have a good day about it. Imagery and personification, the way that she paints her poems with nature and beautiful scenery, she shows the way she views death and the afterlife as if it's something more than just emptiness. And she personifies death as in, he is the one, this evil thing is the one that comes and takes you to your afterlife, and it's something to not be afraid of, even though it's inevitable. But she paints it as if he's the one that comes and takes you to the afterlife and not like an illness or something, a car accident or anything of that nature. She just paints it as in, it's her time that she should go. And with all these grim ways of being carried away, a ride, a carriage into a sunset, it just makes it seem like she's not scared of death. Even though any normal person is always worried about what happens after death, but she makes it to where you wouldn't be worried if you had her same mindset with the way she writes. Thank you, and that's the end.